So this is an Atari Lynx. This is an original one. There were two made. This is the first version, came out in 1989, and it's in pretty good condition apart from some small scratches. All the buttons, I've tried them, they seem to be working okay, but the seller told me it wasn't working. I haven't tried it yet, and hopefully we can fix it. Now on the back it is quite badly scratched, but otherwise not too bad condition. I got it for 120 Australian dollars, which is about $80 US or 60 British pounds. And it came with a box and 7 games too, so that's not a bad deal even for one that isn't working properly. Okay, first things first, let's put some batteries in and see if this thing powers on. So the batteries are in, but before we test it, let's choose a game. I've got 7 games to choose from here, most of them I haven't heard of. I do remember Chip's Challenge. My uncle had it on his Atari ST. Not sure if he had the full game or not, but I do remember playing it. Let's see what else. I don't know any of these games. The only other game I do know is this platformer Toke, or Toki. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I have played that one before too. So we'll give Toke a try and see how we go. So one interesting fact here is that you actually place the game with the label facing inwards. So intuitively, it kind of makes sense to me that you'd have the label facing outwards, so you can see what game you're playing if you open the flap there. But for some strange reason, you insert it label facing downwards. So I give it a little push, and we should be good to go. Okay, moment of truth. Now the seller did say that it didn't work, but I'm not sure exactly to what degree it doesn't work. Pressing the on button there. I'm actually getting nothing. Maybe I need to turn the brightness up perhaps. There's a slider just here. Nope. Let's give the volume a try. Maybe we can get some sound from it. No, so it seems to be completely dead. Alright, well before I open her up, we do have a power jack input as well, which I'm going to want to try before anything else. So there is the power port just there. And let's give that a try, see if we can run it off the mains before we do anything else. Okay, so I have one of these multi-plugs with these different end attachments. This one seems to fit okay. Let's give it another try to see if it works. No. So it doesn't seem to run off the mains either. Oh, look at that. I think it might be a loose connection because this isn't an official adapter, so that's probably the reason why. And we have sound too, so it sounds like it's working. I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. If I can push that wheel, which seems to be stuck a little bit on top there. There we go. And the screen is a bit bright, so let's turn that down as well. Look at that, that looks great. There's no problem with the screen. The backlight is working okay. And let's play a little bit of the game just to make sure it's running as it should. Okay, that's a really good sign. So it's obviously working. There's just some problem that seems to be isolated to the batteries themselves. I'm thinking, could it be corrosion perhaps in the battery terminals? I'm not sure, but we'll need to open it up and find out. Here we go, this is always the most exciting part, finding out what's inside this thing, and it looks pretty clean. I can't see any obvious damage. Let's take out the game. So just first glance at those battery terminals, I can't see any evidence of corrosion. They look fairly clean. Yeah, so whatever the problem is, I don't think it's those terminals there. Could be a loose wire perhaps, or something more serious. So let's take that off. So all those wires look attached. I don't think there's any point in doing a continuity test or anything like that. With the multimeter, you can see the wires are going to where they need to go. So I don't think that's the issue either. Let's take a look at the board itself. It's all very clean. No obvious problems. Let's zoom in a little bit. And you can see that big silver metal shield right in the middle. That's covering the light. The Atari Lynx, I think, was the first ever backlit handheld console. I know it probably would have really drained the battery, but it's such an awesome feature to have. I remember the struggle I had as a kid trying to see the screen on my Game Boy if the lighting conditions weren't just right. But there's nothing obviously wrong here. Nothing I can see that is going to cause those batteries not to work. So let's have another look at that battery compartment. Now I've just had an idea as to why the batteries might not be working. It's a bit of a long shot, but I think it might be an issue that we've encountered before. Alright, so I do have a theory, but before we test out my theory, I just want to check the front of this circuit board just to see if there's anything obvious there before I test out my theory. Now I think we can just lift this straight out. Okay, let's take a look at the front. So the front looks pretty clean. The pads for the buttons look fine, they don't look dirty in any way. The ribbons going to the screen look fine, and we'd expect it to be too because it did work on the mains just fine without any problems. There is some yellow tape around the edges, but that's nothing. Yeah, so it's all looking okay, at least from eyeballing it. I can't see any obvious problems there. Alright, so I've just reassembled the Lynx and I'm going to try out my little theory. So I'm going to need a screwdriver for this, and what I'll do is I'll insert the screwdriver into the power jack. So I do have batteries inside this too. Yes, I think that just turned on for a brief second there. There we go. And then we have the game. Okay, so this is what I think the problem is. We've encountered it before, and it's to do with the contacts inside the power jack. So inside the power jack you have these two contacts. Now typically they should be together when there's no power jack inside. When you put a power jack inside, what happens, or is meant to happen, is that those two contacts, they break away, and that stops the device using the battery power at the same time it's using mains power. Because for obvious reasons we don't want to be using battery power at the same time we're using mains. But over time those two contacts become separated regardless of whether there's a power jack in there or not, which means that we either have to move those two contacts together again for batteries to work, or insert something there to bridge the gap. So in that case I used a screwdriver, and as you can see, Bob's your uncle, we have a device now that works with the battery power, or at least if we stick a screwdriver in there. So next I'm going to try to put the contacts together again as they were originally. So I'm just taking a look inside the power jack. It's really tiny, so I'm using a torch here to try to see where those contacts are. I believe I can see it. I think that loose contact might just be on the right hand side. So I need to push that into the middle pin, and hopefully that should fix it. Okay, I have a bent paper clip here. It's probably not the best thing to use, but it's the only thing I had on hand that was small enough to get inside this power jack and hopefully be able to bend that contact back into its original place. And there we are, now it's running off battery power and I'm playing Toki or Tokai, however you want to pronounce that, but it is working and that's the point. So yes, that seems to have fixed the issue. The contact has now been bridged and is back in its original position. So now let's have a quick game and test this out. I've never actually...
Wake up.
Hey Max.
You know Mummy would say.
What did Mummy say, mate? Tell me.
I did sleep all night in my bed again.
You did? That's so good.
Yes, I did.
So slight interruption there. My son Max came in to tell me that he had slept in his own bed all night, which is quite a big achievement for him. And now, talking of achievements, it turns out that the contact wasn't fixed like I thought it was. The console did shut down after a short period of time. So I am now using a pin to try to push that contact into place. Now, not being able to see it properly does make it quite a bit harder, but we'll give it a go and see what we can do. Okay, after a little while trying, I just really couldn't get it to work. You see, I've still got the pin sticking out the top, bridging that connection. So I think I might need a new power jack. I'm not sure it's fixable, or at least I'm unable to fix it with the tools I have on hand. Perhaps if I had something to better see inside the power jack. Problem is, it's so tiny that it's really hard to know exactly what I'm doing when I'm wiggling that pin inside. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to repair this without actually replacing the power jack. I don't have a spare power jack on hand, so I'm going to leave it as it is for now. I'm happy with how far I got, having diagnosed the problem. We know what the issue is, you know it's easily fixable now, and it looks like we've got a perfectly functioning Atari Lynx. There could have been other things wrong with it, but thankfully not. So that's it for this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, if you have enjoyed it, to hit the thumbs up button, and if this content is your kind of thing, you might also think about subscribing. I do plan to do more videos in the future where I try to fix broken consoles, so do stay tuned for those. Otherwise, that's it for me for now. Thank you for watching as always, and I hope to catch you in the next one.